Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for season 11 of The Walking Dead. In this video, we're back to look at a recent teaser that they released for season 11 part 2. This one's called Arrivals. Now, even though we're saying it's a teaser, it's really just a short clip with a bunch of character portraits and some dialogue from each character. Small dialogue. These are what I call character spotlights for each character. Like, the teaser is a character spotlight teaser. But in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the quick clip and I'm going to be breaking it down. So stay tuned. We'll be right back to look through these. Alright, as always, before we jump into this, smash that like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that, let's waste no more time and get right into it. So, this starts with a shot of Daryl Dixon with a white background, and obviously the characters themselves have a red tone to them, which is pretty cool. This actually reminds me a lot of some of the character portraits that we had for season 7. So, this is pretty cool because it callbacks to some of those character portraits. But we have Daryl Dixon here, not much to say there, and then it zooms in on Daryl Dixon, and in the voiceover, Daryl says, "Everyone get ready," which is a dialogue from him from season 11, episode 9. This was right before the Commonwealth showed up at Alexandria's doorsteps, and then it kind of switches around a little bit on the same image, and then we actually see this new image of Daryl, not much to say there, and then this character portrait of Daryl, which is the same thing but with a black background instead of a white background. And then the next thing is they do this pretty cool effect where it seems like the characters' faces is breaking away. So that's pretty cool. I like that effect that they used. And then we have Maggie right there. It's a pretty cool shot of Maggie. And then it zooms out from her face. And then she says, "It doesn't have to be this way." A dialogue from her from the last episode, season 11, episode 9. This was right when we got that big reveal about Daryl at the Commonwealth. I'm not going to go through that here because there might be people who haven't watched that yet. So I'm going to kind of leave it at that. But if you've watch that episode, you know what I'm referring to. And then the next thing is we got more shots of Maggie. It kind of zooms out from that initial image, and then we have this new image of Maggie. Pretty cool image. I think she's kind of distraught here, which is pretty interesting, but it has a black background, which is a contrast to the white background that we just saw. And then the image switches a little bit, and then it goes to Carol, and then it kind of zooms in to Carol's face and to her eyes. But in the voiceover, there's a dialogue, Carol saying most of them didn't make it out. I don't remember this dialogue, so it might be something that hasn't happened yet, but I could be wrong. It could be something that I'm just forgetting about. But it kind of zooms in to Carol's eyes, and then it kind of switches to Negan. A pretty cool shot of Negan. Not much to say here. Again, with the white background, it's definitely very reminiscent of some of the character portraits that we saw in season 7, which were really dedicated to or focused on the lineup scene with Negan. So it's kind of cool that they brought that back a little bit. So it's a callback there. And then in the voiceover, Negan says, "Okay, so what now?" I don't think we've heard this before, so it's probably something that hasn't happened yet, but I'm intrigued to see what this is all about. We kind of see Negan walking forward and everything, and then it shifts or switches to this new image of Negan. A pretty menacing image of Negan, to be honest. There's actually a bunch of very menacing Negan images in this teaser, which is pretty interesting. But the next thing is it kind of zooms in to Negan, and then it switches to Rosita. And then in the voiceover, there's a dialogue with Rosita saying there's something else going on here. I'm assuming this is related to Commonwealth. She's talking about the Commonwealth here. And then we kind of get another image of Rosita. Not much to say there. But then it switches back to another image of Rosita. And then we kind of get that switch between the white and black contrast that we have seen so far. Just like what we saw with Daryl and Carol and the others. the face kind of splits away or shatters away. So that's the effect that they're using, which is pretty awesome. And it switches to Aaron. Not much to say there. It kind of goes back and forth between two different contrasted images of Aaron. In the voiceover, there's a dialogue of Aaron saying, is that real or is that a lie? I'm assuming this is also related to Commonwealth, but I could be wrong. And then the image kind of changes slightly and then it switches to Mercer. We also do see the scatter effect, which is pretty cool. And then we have a dialogue from Mercer with him saying, welcome to the kill house. Very interesting. I don't know what this is referring to. I'm assuming this is referring to the kill house that they call where they take new survivors to, where they have to go through a drill, where we have them being surrounded by walkers. They have to basically prove themselves. They have to kill the walkers. I could be wrong, but I think that's what this is. But then it switches to this shot of Mercer. And then it switches to this pretty awesome shot of Mercer with the black background. This actually reminds me a lot of some comic covers. I'm assuming that that's what they had in mind when they created some of these portrait shots, but this is pretty cool. And then we have a switch to Eugene, a pretty cool shot of Eugene with his hands up. This is also a scene from the previous episode, season 11, episode 9. I'm not gonna talk about it here just in case people haven't watched that episode yet, but for those who have, you know exactly what this is connected to, like what scene it's from. And then it switches to this shot of Eugene, again, from the same scene, but with a white background instead of a black background. And then in the voiceover, there's a dialogue with Eugene saying, because ready or not, right now's all we've got. I think that's related to Commonwealth and their situation at Commonwealth, and the fact that some don't trust Commonwealth, but some do. And then it switches to another shot of Eugene, not much to say there. And then it flips to the black background variation of the image. And then we have this shot of Gabriel. It's a pretty interesting shot of Gabriel. He looks pretty badass here. And then we have the scatter effect. Now there is something interesting in this particular scatter effect, which I'm not gonna dive through here. I'll do a separate video on that, but this could be foreshadowing for something that's gonna be coming up from the Commonwealth comic storyline. But I'm not gonna dive into it here. But then in the voiceover, we have him saying, all of us have sinned. A pretty generic thing for Gabriel to say, and then it switches to this particular image or character portrait of Gabriel, and then a different variation of the same image. And then we have Princess here with a variation of the same image here. And then in the voiceover, she says, maybe it's not that complicated. Again, a very princess thing to say. And even the way she says it, it's very princess-like. And then it switches to this shot of her, not much to say. And then it goes to Ezekiel, switches between some shots of Ezekiel. And then in the voiceover, he says, how did this happen? Not sure what this is all about, but very intrigued to see what this is related to. It could be something small, it could be something significant. And then it switches to a different image of Ezekiel, and then it goes to Yumiko, who's actually wearing pretty nice clothing right now, given her status at the Commonwealth. But she says, is this place really as good as it seems? Referring to the Commonwealth. It's pretty straightforward, so I'm not gonna dive into it, but she rotates a little bit, the image changes a little bit here and there, and then it switches to none other than Lance Hornsby, who is the representative of Commonwealth in the absence of the leader, Pamela Milton. But in the voiceover, there's a dialogue of Lance saying the future starts here. Again, very generic when it comes to who he is and his role at the Commonwealth and everything like that. And then it switches to a different image of Lance, and then finally we kind of get these zoomed in images of the character's eyes. I'm not sure who this is. I think this is Ezekiel, but I could be wrong. And then we have Yumiko here, I think, and then someone else here. I don't know who this is. This also looks like Ezekiel. And then we have this one. I think this is maybe Princess. I could be wrong, maybe Connie, but it's tough to say. And then this one, I think this is Gabriel, if I'm not mistaken. And then this one, not sure who this one is, but they look angry, whoever it is. And then we have this one. I think this is Mercer. And then we have this one. Not sure who this one is either. All of these look like Ezekiel to me for some reason. Anyway, and then we have this one. I think this one's Connie. And then we have this pretty obvious one with Negan. A pretty cool shot of Negan. And then we have some pretty interesting, nice looking portraits of Negan, which is this one with him looking down, a side view of his face, and then this one. He looks very intimidating here, to be completely honest. And then we have Carol here. Not much to say about that. A very generic image of Carol. And then we have this one of Maggie, a pretty cool one. And then we have this one with Maggie. I think this is also from a scene that was in the previous episode, season 11, episode 9. For those who have watched the episode, you probably remember which scene this is from. And then it kind of zooms out a little bit. And then we have this one of Daryl. And that's it. That's the end of the teaser or the spotlight teaser. The Walking Dead final season part 2 of 3, February 20. Obviously, this is the premiere for the first episode back for part 2. But if you have AMC Premiere, you can watch it a week early. Like I did. You can actually watch my reaction to that episode if you're interested. But that's pretty much it for this teaser breakdown. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.